is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the 3D Security and Training Academy studios.
Anybody who is against the Second Amendment should not have any true blue American support. Never. Doesn't matter what party they're in. If they have a problem with guns, we got a problem with them.
Our guest today has no problem with guns. In fact, she teaches the joy of the right to bear arms and many other things to women all across the country. Modern-day pioneer Georgia Pellegrini is our guest today. Sarah Palin socks it to another incompetent media member who gets it wrong again. A brand new Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson is coming up from Virginia. And just ahead, our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman in Missouri. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by 3D Security and Training Academy. Learn more at 3dsta.com. Georgia Pellegrini was a recent guest on Amazing America with Sarah Palin on Sportsman Channel. She has a really incredible story. She left her high-paying job to dedicate herself to cooking and the outdoors. Now, she's a modern pioneer, helping other women who want to learn how to live off the land and find the peace that comes with it. Georgia Pellegrini, welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You made quite a splash a couple of weeks ago on Amazing America with Sarah Palin, a really great episode. You went out with Miss USA Tara Conner, did some dove hunting, and not only did you score out there, you were able to show people what to do once you get back into the kitchen and, wrap those guys up in bacon, and I think people were pretty pleased, and I know Tara was because we talked to her last week, and she said she has since cooked the recipe for her boyfriend. She went out to the store and used chicken, like you said is okay, chicken or quail. But it was a hit.
Good, I'm so glad. My goal with my work is to just teach people, and especially women, how to be just more self-sufficient in the world, how to empower themselves by doing more with less and learning to roll up their sleeves and just experiencing life more viscerally and stepping outside their comfort zone. And I loved seeing that Tara was encouraged to just learn to do a little bit more in her own kitchen.
Now, speaking of jumping out of your comfort zone, let's tell listeners who may not know about you a little bit about your background. You were not always this pioneer woman, at least not as your number one calling, let's say. You had a job that maybe people wouldn't expect from someone like you right now. So let's talk about where you came from and why.
Sure. So I actually grew up on the same land that my great-grandfather lived on. It's been in my family for 100 years. And so I did grow up living off the land, but I stepped away from that. I actually worked on Wall Street at Lehman Brothers after college, and it was one of those important moments in my life because I really was unhappy, and it forced me to think about what I was doing when I was happiest, and it really wasn't sitting there night after night crunching Excel spreadsheets. I just realized that it was a lifestyle that I didn't want to live. It wasn't who I wanted to be, and so it forced me to do some soul searching, and I realized that I wanted to get back to the land and get back to my roots and where I'd come from. And for me, that was really about food and cooking and living off the land. And so I enrolled in culinary school, and I went from making a Wall Street salary to below minimum wage. And I have to say that I knew it was the right thing for me because I was just so happy all of a sudden. And it wasn't about the money. It was just about doing something that really felt satisfying on a soul level. So I started working at restaurants in New York and in France, and it was during that time that I really wanted to learn how to hunt my own meat. I just realized as a chef I wasn't taking the process from the very beginning to the end, and I call it sort of paying the full price of a meal. And I set out on this journey to teach myself and to have others teach me how to hunt. I had grown up fishing for trout, eating it for breakfast and gardening, but I had never hunted growing up. So it was a really transformative life experience, and what's been so special about it for me is all of the women that it's touched. I get emails from women around the world who say they want to go on an adventure with me and they want to experience something new themselves. And so I host these adventure getaways now for women around the country where we literally do just that. We step outside of our comfort zone, surprise ourselves, do things maybe that scare them, but it's very empowering because they realize that it's accessible to them to be self-sufficient and be in the outdoors. You just need an accessible entry point and an environment that's supportive.
In that episode of Amazing America that you were in, Sarah Palin really drove home that point that you're making here about the happiness and the peace that people can get from hunting, from outdoorsmanship, if you will. It's amazing. You know, some people would hear, oh, you left that big paycheck behind, but you said that was an instant feeling. That's really incredible. Is this something that you're noticing from others, too, that, you know, get out there and really maybe don't know how to live off the land like you? And even if they don't take it to your extent, are they able to, you know, get that quotient of inner peace up?
Yes, absolutely. And what's so amazing is when I get these emails from women, a lot of them say in the subject line that they think that I can help them. And then they share their stories with me. And when they come on these trips with me, they really transform. And I watch it happen in such an amazing way. And it's really just watching them be more connected to the rhythms of nature, be more connected to where we've all come from as humans. You know, and realizing that we're all part of this beautiful cycle of life that we can feel so far removed from when we're living our busy lives in the cities or our corporate jobs or just the everyday grind. And so the most gratifying thing for me is to see them transform. And they always say, you know, they feel like they've unraveled or that they feel taller and they feel inspired to change their lives, even in small ways. So I think that's really what life is about, is getting back in touch with our natural human instincts.
And you see this modern pioneerism, if you will, taking off more and more, and people that you maybe quote-unquote wouldn't expect to do it, like yourself off of Wall Street or others who have come from different backgrounds who maybe don't fit the part that people think, you know, in, say, in urban America, think of what a hunter, someone who lives off the land may look like or where they may be from. But you're seeing this more and more, and that must be gratifying to folks like you who have really, you know, taken this from the beginning, really, and have done it, I bet, when some people thought that, you know, it wasn't the right move.
Absolutely. And I say to people, I wasn't born a hunter. You know, I did grow up living off the land and fishing, but I didn't grow up hunting. And I think that's what these women are seeing now, is that it's not something, I think people have this vision that's just sort of the stereotype where you have to, like, be living in the country and, you know, grow up doing it. And you really don't. I mean, the land is something that we're all part of, and we should all be stewards of the land. And I think it makes us appreciate the world that we live in so much more when we really get out there and interact with it rather than keep it at arm's length. So these city women who are busy moms or busy at work, they're getting to try this stuff for the first time on my adventure getaways. And so that's really special to me, is to really give people an access point who maybe didn't have that growing up.
We're talking with Georgia Pellegrini. She's talking about her adventure getaways, in which she teaches women outdoor skills and encourages them to step outside their comfort zone. Georgia, how can people find out more about the adventure getaways? How does it work as far as signing up, and who would you recommend the program to?
I have had women from ages 23 to 67, and that's the most special part, is to see them connect with each other and bond and share their life experiences. They make lifelong friends on this trip, and you can find out more by going to my website, which is georgiapellegrini.com, and you can click on the Adventure Getaways tab on my website. And we host several events a year, and the latest one is posted now. It's April 14th to the 17th, and it's going to be a magical time. It's in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. And
are they always in different locations?
They vary. I do them in different parts of the country, and they always say it's sort of that perfect combination of creature comforts and ruggedness. Some events are more refined, and some of them are more rugged. So there's something for everyone. I've done them in Montana and Texas and Virginia and Arkansas, in Georgia.
Well, of course, in Georgia.
So it's really great to sort of share. I have people come back year after year, and it's great to sort of give them new experiences and let them see different parts of the country and what this amazing America has to offer.
What are your thoughts on Sarah Palin as far as her promotion of hunting and the outdoors? I mean, she has been steadfast there with that message, when she ran for national office, but also ever since. I mean, it's been one of her main themes, and this Amazing America show certainly, a lot of it has to do with that. So what's your take been on the governor?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I mean, I think that especially that she's a woman and that she's promoting it. I think we need more strong women on a national platform, giving people sort of an understanding of the land that we live on and that we should appreciate and that we should learn to interact with. And I think we all have this feeling that we're supposed to tiptoe around nature as if it's the last great zoo. And I think it's wonderful that she's encouraging people to really, roll up their sleeves and interact with this beautiful country in a way that's, respectful and that cherishes it.
Now, to give people an idea of some of the things you cook, we talked about the doves wrapped in bacon, and you called them flying livers before you cooked them, but then you said they taste pretty good, and Tara agreed, so we'll go with that. But let's just let people know there's some stuff that sounds good from the get-go. Pumpkin beer chili is one thing you've been promoting. That's one that I think people would, certainly catch their attention. Also, beer cheese. What's that?
Yeah, so, my philosophy is that if it's not something that's wholesome, that's the simple, pure ingredients that can speak for themselves, then it's probably not what you should be cooking. I always say, think of what your grandmother made or your great-grandmother made. And, I'm classically trained in French cuisine, and I've worked at some of the best restaurants in the world, but I want food to be accessible to people. And, I've been able to take wild game and elevate it and make it taste really wonderful. My second book was actually all about my journey as a chef, hunting and then turning that meat into food. And so it's really about, teaching people that it's accessible and that it can taste delicious. I think wild game has gotten a bad rap. So my website is chock full of recipes. So are all three of my books. And I think that food should be about bringing people together and having, breaking bread and making memories around a table. And, I was so happy to see that Tara could see that the recipe was so simple yet so delicious, and that she was encouraged and inspired to cook it for herself at home.
Yeah, and another dish that I thought just screamed Sarah Palin was the Indian spiced venison stew.
Oh, it's magical. I just finished butchering an axis deer in Texas, which is it's actually an invasive species. It was introduced from India. And so there's a lot of them, and I made the most wonderful Indian spiced stew. I figure they're from India. Why not? So I have tons of recipes, hundreds of recipes, especially for wild game. And I'm all about, giving people this feeling that it's accessible to them. And wild animals are amazingly nutritious. I mean, it's lean protein. They're athletes. They don't hang out in feedlots, and they're not force-fed anything weird. So it's wonderfully good for you.
All right, Georgia. Well, listen, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and it sounds really interesting, and I know people are definitely buying into it. As far as your books and your recipes, you said both accessible on your website and also information on your adventure getaways on the website.
That's right. It's just all on my website, and so, people follow along on my Facebook fan page, on social media. There's lots of recipes posted there daily as well, and it's just Georgia Pellegrini.
All right, sounds great. If you haven't seen the episode yet, folks, you got to check it out. Georgia Pellegrini out there taking down doves 1, 2, 3, and then getting back to the kitchen and making it just as simply. So it looked very simple. I'm sure you do it so easily, and others, but hey, Tara pulled it off too. So thank you so much for being on the Palin Update today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.